didn't work. So now it's working. Um, just a reminder, if you are new to the Wednesday night lives, when you post a question, make sure you put your name and where you're from. I just need like a state or country, whatever. If you're in the United States, I just need a state like California, Colorado, whatever. That's just so I can enter you into the drawing for a free bag of Pupford training treats, like this. So every Wednesday when we do our lives, you get a free, we have a drawing for a free bag of training treats. You get to email in and tell them what kind you want. So, hi, Julie. So if you see me looking away, it's because I am writing people's names down so that we can do the drawing. We have Rachel from Ohio. Also, what was I going to say? Kayla, is that Gilbert, Arizona? I remember you. I remember a lot of your names. So, Lynn from, I'm going to hurry and write down a couple names. And then I'll start answering questions. Oh, yes, Arizona. I thought so. There's something else I was going to say. Now I can't remember what it was. But happy you guys are with us tonight. How was everybody's Thanksgiving? Hopefully everybody made it through. Ours was just nice and quiet, just me, my mom, and my crazy uncle. But it makes for an entertaining day for sure. Michigan. Facebook user from Massachusetts, I need your name so that I can write. Because what I do is when I do the drawing, then I email the people at Pupford and say so-and-so from Ohio was tonight's winner. So I need your name as well as where you're from. Same quiet. Jeff. Okay. Let's see, Karen, Illinois. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of nice to have it quiet. We've had somewhere we have lots of family over, and it just seems to be a lot. And it's kind of interesting because I don't eat meat, so for me, it's mostly mashed potatoes and gravy. Like, that's my favorite. But this year, my mom, being the sweet person that she is, she went out of the way to make like vegan potatoes. So she used like almond milk and potatoes and vegan, hey Emily, and vegan butter. And then she made sugar-free Jell-O and a vegetable, and that's about all I ate. But I could eat potatoes and gravy every single day of the week and never get tired of it because I love it. Okay. So Anita's asking, how do I train my dog to drop it? Got to take, but she's not getting to drop. Okay, so pardon me for 1 second while I spit my gum out. Hopefully I can do that without everybody seeing. I actually have Jade here, so let me see if I can find something that Jade has her bone. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you with Jade how I do a drop it. And I'm going to just use a verbal marker because I think I have a clicker here, but I'm not sure. Oh, I do have a clicker. Okay. Jade, we're going to buy one of your bullets. Okay, so I want you to be able to see the dog. So I'm going to say, take. And she might take it to her bed. So let me see if she'll pick it up. Here, take. Jade, get it, take. All right, let's pretend like she has the bone in her mouth. Actually, she might take my pen. Take. She knows she's going to get a treat for it. Okay, so I have a treat ready in my hand, and I think that's why she won't take it, because she knows I have something. So if she has this in her mouth, I'm going to show her something of equal or higher value. So I have a treat. So if she's got this in her mouth, I'm going to show her a treat and say, drop it. And then when she drops this, yes, then I treat her. And then sometimes you can give the original item back if it's like a bone. So in her mind, it's like, oh, I get a treat and then I get my original item back. But she doesn't always get her original item back. Let me see if I can get her to take something new. Oh, look, what's that? That's a new toy. What is that? Do you want that? Do you want that? Oh, yes, you do. You want that? Okay, so I'm going to go over to her bed and hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. What is that? Go get your toy. Here, let's go get your toy. Look, what is that? Get it. Yeah, she knows I have treats in my hand. Here, get it. Drop. Good drop. Take. Get it. Here, get it. Drop. Good. So hopefully you get the idea. She wouldn't actually take it because she knew I had treats in my hands, but oh, here, you can have your bone back. Get your bone. But basically what I do is just take a treat. They have the bone in their mouth. I show them a high value treat. This was the Pupford chicken, because if they have something and you're offering them like a dog biscuit that's boring, they're going to be like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'll keep what I have. So it has to be equal or higher value. And then when they see the new treat, then I will say, drop it. And as soon as they drop what they have for the treat, I either click or say yes, and then give them the treat. And then sometimes we play give and take. So you could see me trying to give it back, like, okay, take, so that we just trade. But if the dog has something that I don't want them to have, then I give them the treat, and then I take whatever they had that I don't want them to have. And then I just take it away and they don't get it. So great question. Hopefully you could kind of get that. We're working on Jade's take and drop for her service dog training. And so she has actually gotten good at picking up like pens and things like that. But when she knows I have a treat in my hand, she'll drop anything because she's like, oh, but you have treats. Like, I know you're going to give me a treat. So that was bad training on my part. Okay, Lynn Marie, I'm glad you asked this question. So I'm going to talk a little bit. We could spend an hour talking about dominance and the dominance theory. I'm going to give you the condensed version. So Emily is correct in that the dominance theory has been debunked. So what they did is, back in, I can't remember if it was I can't remember when it was, but there was a scientist who observed a pack of wolves, but the wolves were not an actual family. So it wasn't a family of wolves. These were, they were all juvenile male wolves that were singles, and they did not belong to the same family, and they put them all in, it was like a shelter situation, so they weren't actually in the wild, and they studied them. And in that kind of situation, you're not going to get true wolf behavior, because if you truly look at a pack of wolves, you have an alpha male and an alpha female, But if you watch them, they usually eat last. They avoid conflict because if they it's not to their advantage to fight over things, because if they're injured, they can't hunt, they can't take care of their young, things like that. So if you look at an actual wolf pack, they don't behave the same way that a bunch of juvenile male wolves would act. So that whole theory has been debunked. However, let's say, but dominance in dogs also, dogs are not wolves. Thousands of years have gone by between domestication. So we can't even compare dogs and wolves anymore. And dominance in dogs is very fluid. So I'm going to give you an example. So if you always hear, oh, you can't let your dog go through the door ahead of you because then he'll think he's dominant. That is bullcrap. I let my dogs go through the door before me. As long as they don't pull me, I say, let's go. They go through the door, I go through the door, because then I have to close the other door. But dominance is very fluid. So let's say that right now, Jade is chewing a bone, and let's say one of the other dogs goes up and Jade growls. The other dog backs away. In that instance, Jade was dominant because she had a resource, and the other dog came up, Jade growled, the other dog said, oh, okay, I'll back away. So in that instance, Jade was dominant. Okay, so now let's say we're at my house and Jade's on the couch and Daphne comes up and jumps on the couch, and Jade doesn't care because that resource, being the couch, it's not that important of a resource to Jade. So in that instance, neither of them are dominant because they both share the couch. So it's like, oh, yeah, no big deal. Come lay on the couch with me. So let's say they're on the couch and Jade growls and Daphne pretty much says, like, I don't think so. And then jumps up on the couch, and then like Jade gets down, then in that instance, Daphne could be dominant, or you could say neither are dominant because, Jade growled, but she didn't pursue it. They just both kind of like, okay, whatever. So it varies from situation to situation, and it depends on the resource. So, dogs can resource food, toys, bones, sleeping locations, people, things like that. And when you say bullying, I need a little bit more information. Like, what does that look like? In what instances is the dog bullying? So I like to look at training as more of a leadership thing. So I get my dogs on a schedule, and dogs need predictability and structure. So we get up, we go potty, we have breakfast. My older pets take their meds. And then we might do a training session. Then we might do an enrichment session. So the dogs always, my dogs have become so accustomed to their schedule that they'll start coming up to me and whining. And then I'll look and I'll like, oh yeah, it's dinner time. So they will actually tell me when it's dinner time because they're just used to this schedule. So if your dog is acting, instead of bullying, I'm going to say like stubborn. Sometimes if a dog acts like that, dogs don't have the emotion of stubborn. So they aren't capable of actually doing things out of spite. So either it is that they don't understand what you want or what you're asking, or it's not reinforcing enough. So if the dog is up in the mountains and sniffing deer poop and whatever, hey Jade, you need to go lay down. Where's your place? Lay down. And you call your dog and have nothing, like when you're teaching a come or a leave it, If coming to you is not reinforcing enough, then the dog's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to eat deer poop. So a lot of people would say, oh my gosh, my dog's so stubborn, he won't come. Well, either he doesn't know come well enough, or it's not reinforcing enough. So when I'm teaching a dog like Jade, if we go hiking, and I'm not sure that she's going to leave it or come, I'll have her drag a long line so that I can reinforce it. But I will have high value treats with me. So I will take like boiled chicken or bacon or something so that she knows if she comes or if she leaves something, I have something better. Like I will reinforce you with bacon so that it's reinforcing enough for her to come. So hopefully that answers your question. If you want to give me a little bit more information, I'll keep scrolling down. And if you want to tell me what you mean by bullying, I don't know if that means like bullying you as an owner or another dog, but like, tell me what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to write down a few more names. Ashley from Wisconsin. But I love these questions because I always I know there's so much stuff out there on the media, on the internet, on YouTube, and it's so easy to learn wrong. I learned wrong 20 years ago. I thought I had to be the alpha. I used to alpha roll my dogs. I did everything wrong. And so you have to be careful about what you find online. And there's a lot of people that still teach the dominance theory and things like that, even though scientifically it has been debunked. So, okay, should I start potty training, or should I start training anything besides potty training and name recognition in day one? I like to give dogs about 3 days to a week where I just start potty training, crate training, and learning name. So name recognition, and I do clicker training, so I get them used to the clicker. So I will load the clicker, and then I'll do things like if the dog sits on its own, I'll click and treat. If the dog gives me eye contact, I click and treat. So I catch the dog doing things that I like and that I want to reinforce, and I will click and treat for that. But other than that, I just work on letting the dog settle in, get used to a new environment, definitely potty train, crate train, play the name game. And then after and get your dog set up on a schedule like I was talking about. So let the dog know you can expect breakfast here, then we're going to go potty, then we're going to train, then we're going to go for a walk, in whatever order you want. But get the dog set up on a schedule. I'm really against free feeding, so I like to feed actual meals, because if a dog has access to food all the time, then why would they work for treats or food? They can just go get it whenever they want. So I like to have predictable meals. So yeah, just do that for the first week, and then you can start training then start going through Zach's 30-day thing. At least I have found when I do board and train with young puppies, I always give them a couple days to just learn a new area, respond to their name. We start potty training, crate training right away. And we don't jump right into training right at first. So I do let them settle in. But when I do say their name and they look at me, then I'll be like, yes, treat, or click treat if I have my clicker with me. So yeah, great question. Let's see. Kayla's asking, Dave doesn't bark at all men, just certain ones. Like he's okay with one neighbor walking by, but another male neighbor he barks at. So is there something about the other neighbor that Dave doesn't like? So just as an example, say one neighbor he's fine with, but the other neighbor has a beard or always wears a hat, or something that maybe your dog isn't used to. So then you could do some socialization. The other neighbor that your dog barks at, you could see if he'll like walk by and just toss treats to your dog. So, Shay, what are you doing? Oh, stand by. I think her bone is under her bed. Just a second. What's the matter? Is your bone under here? Oh, no, you just went out. Nope, I can't go out right now. Sorry. So kind of look and see if there's something different about the second guy that could make your dog be more like maybe not socialized with. So an example is one of my former service dog in training went to Las Vegas with me to a conference, and we went to Denny's, and there was a really large man of color that walked in, and my dog lost his crap, and it was kind of embarrassing, but he was barking in a restaurant, and I was with another trainer, and the other trainer says, I don't think he's ever seen a colored man before. And I don't know if it was the guy's color or size or whatever, but I actually went up. The guy was so nice. I went up and I said, would you mind just like giving my dog a few treats? And he's like, oh, sure, not at all. So I brought my dog, and what I had the guy do is I said, just toss some treats to him from a distance. And so that he associates man equals treats. And then hold your hand out. This is backwards for what I'm looking. Hold your hand out and see if he chooses to come and take a treat out of your hand, which he did. And so that's how I introduced him to something that he had like never seen before. So sometimes it's just a matter of socializing to something different that your dog hasn't seen. If there's nothing like physically different, then you could ask the neighbor, just like walk by and toss treats to the dog. And then, so that your dog learns, oh, I like it when that neighbor walks by because I get treats. So you could even load your neighbor up with like cut up hot dogs, or cheese or something, and just say, when you walk by, will you just toss treats to my dog? So that he starts to learn. Then you can teach your dog, like, okay, what do you want your dog to do instead? And you could try like the look at that game. So if you could have your neighbor walk by, then start at a distance to where your dog can just look at the neighbor and not bark, and just be, oh, look, there's John, click treat. There's John, click treat. So every time your dog looks at the neighbor and doesn't bark, the dog gets a click treat. Dave gets a click treat. And then you can slowly, one step at a time, not 4 steps, but 1 step, get closer. And then from that distance, do the same thing. Oh, look, there's John, click treat. So 2 things are happening. You are pairing treats with something that your dog is reactive to. And 2, you're teaching the dog what you want him to do instead. So instead of barking, I want you to just notice and look at him and stay calm. And then you can slowly get closer. Now, if you get to a distance to where your dog starts to like get stiff or growl or react, then you just say, let's go, and you turn in increased distance, because you don't want your dog to go over threshold. So always watch your dog's body language. Keep your dog under threshold, and then as you get closer, then the neighbor can start tossing treats to your dog. If you're comfortable and if you think your dog's calm, have your neighbor just hold out his hand. But remember, don't force the dog to go take the treat, because that's how people get bit. See if the dog wants to go take the treat. If he does, great. If he doesn't, don't force him. I would also tell the neighbor, turn sideways, like don't stand their head on. Don't stare at the dog, like don't give the dog direct eye contact, and don't try to pet the dog. If the dog is scared and nervous, reaching over a dog's head is very scary. So what I do is, I'll actually just show you with, come here, Jade. Jade. So I'll reach my hand out with a treat, and then I'll just start to like pet under the chin like that. And that's what I do instead of like reaching over, because a lot of dogs don't like that. So try that. Let me know how it works. Do you have any suggestions for digging? Yeah, so my dogs dig, and because they like to dig and then lay in the cool dirt. So I have one spot where I let them dig. So we used to have a swimming pool, and I moved the swimming pool so it was closer to the water spigot, and the lawn's dead right there. So let them dig in that one spot. If I catch them digging somewhere else, I'll interrupt and say, hey, over here. And then I take them back to where this is where you're allowed to dig. You could have like a designated, like a sandbox, like you have for kids, like have a designated dig area and hide toys and treats and different things. Jade, quiet. And so that the dog has something to dig for, and they find treasures, and it's fun, and that's their designated digging spot. You can also get like the kiddie pool and fill it up with rubber balls or dirt. And again, hide toys and treats and different things. So when I worked at the rescue, we did that. We had a big pool full of these rubber balls, and the dogs love to jump in them and dig through them and play. And then if you hide stuff in there as well, then the dog has fun. Plus, they'll want to go back and dig in that area because that's where they find treats and toys and things like that. If you don't want your dog digging at all, then make sure that your dog is getting enough mental enrichment and exercise, because a lot of times if a dog's digging, it's out of boredom. So make sure you're doing like snuffle mat, nose work, puzzle toys, enough exercise, things like that. But some breeds just like to dig more, so I just have a spot where they can dig, and I let them just kind of do that one area. Okay, Sarah, separation anxiety problem. It's funny you should bring that up, because I just had a board and train. In fact, if you were here last week, you met my board and train that was here with me because she has separation anxiety and I couldn't leave her home. So she just went home today, or was it yesterday or today? She went home yesterday. I had her for 17 days. And it was really tough. So the first thing I did was, it took her like 3 days to kind of get settled and be like, okay, I'm in a new place, new people, new dogs. And then she was like glued to me. So like if I went in a room and closed the door, she would be scratching on the door. So then we went through the Velcro stage where she was with me like all the time. I couldn't leave her. So what I started to do at first is I have a baby gate that goes from dining room to kitchen. And so I started to close the baby gate and like do dishes so where she could still see me, but I was a ways away. And so we started there. And actually it started when she first came, she would not eat unless I was with her. And she was on different food than my dog. So I fed her in the kitchen behind the baby gate just so I wouldn't have any problem with my dog's trying to eat her food or her trying to eat my dog's food. And so, so at first we went behind the baby gate. I stayed with her while she ate. And then we graduated to like, I'd give her food and walk out of the baby gate and stand right there and then go back in and get her bowl when she was finished. Then I would start doing dishes, like wipe counters, just doing something where she could see me, but she couldn't be like right with me. Then I started, so if you have a separation anxiety dog, technically you are supposed to suspend absences, which means you can't leave. If you have a dog that's being destructive, like trying to chew through doors and chew drywall and chew out of a crate, then whether it takes, we always talk about it takes a village. So you enlist the help of family, friends, neighbors, somebody to be with your dog like all the time until you can start working through the protocol. I did not have that luxury because I live out in the sticks, and I had like a few other clients to see every day. So I actually have the Alcatraz crate that, because I could tell that she was going to be able to chew or break out of the crate that they brought for her. So I put her in the crate, in my crate. But then when I came home, after we did like training on other stuff and playtime and all that stuff, then I would put her in her crate and I would sit at the kitchen table and like do my work, do my training plans, and have her be calm in her crate. So that then she was in her crate, but I was still there. And you can do this with baby gates too if you don't want a crate. So if you do it right, technically you don't really need to crate them. But right when I could tell that she was starting to get anxious, I let her out, because I didn't ever want to push her over that threshold. So as soon as I could tell that, like as soon as she like started to bite at the door or anything that told me, okay, she's getting anxious, I would let her out. Then we started doing things like I would walk, in the bathroom and out. And that's all I did, like just walk in the bathroom out. Then I would walk in, close the door, open it, come out. And so we finally got to the point where I could actually go in, close the door, use the restroom, and come out without her needing to come in, and she wouldn't scratch on the door from the outside. So it's a very gradual, you start with just increasing distance from how close the dog can get to you. Then you start doing very short departures. So at first you can even like go part way behind a wall, but your dog can see half of you, but half of you's gone, and then come back. And then graduate to all the way on the other side of the wall for like 1 second and come back, and then go for 2 seconds, 5 seconds. And then once you get to the point, and then there's a lot of stuff that you do, like dogs will pick up on things that tell the dog you're leaving. So they'll start to get anxious before you even leave. So I will have clients do things like pick up your keys, walk around the house, put your keys down, and don't leave. Put your coat on, walk around the house, pick up your purse, put your purse down, take your coat off, don't leave. And then start like walking to the door, and then don't leave. Walk to the door, touch the door, don't leave. And then turn the doorknob, and then eventually open the door, eventually step out for like 1 second, come back in. Once you start to get duration as far as how long you're leaving, it's good to have a camera so that you can watch your dog. And they have really good technology out there now to where you can watch your dog from your phone and see what's happening. And as soon as you see your dog starting to get anxious, like pacing, drooling, panting, if you are going to crate, if you see the dog start to like try to break out, chew on the crate, then you want to come back in. It's not like with puppy training where we say, oh, if your dog is barking or whining or things like that, we want to ignore them because we don't want to reinforce that behavior. Separation anxiety is a totally different thing. It's like a human having a panic attack. So don't worry about, oh, but I don't want to reinforce that behavior. you're not. It's like we are letting them know we're coming back before they actually like go over their threshold where they can't handle it. So I do know that Pupford has a really good separation anxiety course. So you can purchase that. And that trainer, it wasn't me, it's another fabulous trainer, but she will take you through a whole separation anxiety protocol and stuff and teach you how to deal with it. So I recommend looking into that separation anxiety course and taking that, because that will give you a lot of recommendations and help with separation anxiety. Okay, Lynn, I think you're giving me, so now it's not going to scroll for me. Hang on. Okay. I have 2-year-old lab pit rescue. Oh, I have a 2-year-old lab pit rescue. Every time we are going down the stairs or out a door, he has to be first and waits for the other male dog to come down, and then he has to jump at him, kind of like letting him know he is first, even though the golden doodle is 10 and was here first. If they're playing, the 2-year-old always submits to the 10-year-old. It's just the strange doors, stairs, etc. So sometimes small spaces can do weird things to dogs. So we see a lot of dogs like sometimes fighting at doorways or going upstairs, and it's because it's like a smaller space. So what I would do is I would put the dogs in like a sit wait, or you can say sit stay if that's what you say. And so the 2-year-old, put the 2-year-old in a sit wait, and then tell the 10-year-old, okay, come down the stairs, and then tell the 2-year-old he can come down. Now, when you say that he kind of jumps at him, is that like in a playful way, or is it in a like aggressive way? Because there's a difference. If he's just kind of playing, that's one thing. But if he's like jumping at him aggressively, that's different. So I would also, like, you would need 2 people, but stand at the top and you be with the 2-year-old and do a sit wait. There's a difference for me between wait and stay. So if you use stay, that's totally fine. So it's like wait, and then have him just watch the 10-year-old go down the stairs and treat the 2-year-old. Be like, oh, good job. Watch the 10-year-old go down. Good job. So he's staying calm. He's sitting, he's waiting, and he's just watching the 10-year-old go down the stairs. And then it's like, okay, now it's your turn. Now you get to go. So then you release him. But yeah, sometimes doors and stairs can be tricky with dogs because it's a confined space. And so I had a client that had dogs that would always fight at doorways and going upstairs. So we just started where we would put 2 in a sit stay and 1 would go up, and then it did take 2 people and then another would go up, or you just kind of manage it where, okay, the 3 dogs are behind the baby gate, 1 goes up, and then you take another one up, and then you take another one up. So just because the 2-year-old goes down the stairs first, that doesn't really make him dominant. It kind of depends on what the 10-year-old does, but I mean, if he thinks that the stairs are his and it's a resource, then yeah. But again, it would depend on how he's jumping out at him. Like if it's aggressive or if it is just playful. Now, if it's aggressive, another thing you can do is put the 2-year-old, like have the 2-year-old come down and do a downstay while the 10-year-old comes down, and have the 2-year-old stay until the 10-year-old gets all the way down and past, and then it's like, okay, free, now you can go. but teach him something else to do. So like, okay, you're going to go down the stairs and you're going to go to your place and lay down while the 10-year-old comes down, and you're not going to be released until the 10-year-old is all the way down, and you stay calm, and then I'm going to release you. So try that. Try either one of those. Either one would work. Okay, Vicky, Jade, I know you want to go outside, but you can't right now because I'm busy. I'm busy. I know. Okay, let's see. Oh, love the 30-day program. Awesome. I know I went through it too, and I loved it too. Zach George is the best. Okay. How do you deal with territorial barking? Only does it in our apartment. So is it sounds, or is it when somebody comes over? So if your dog is hearing sounds and then barking, then I would desensitize your dog to sounds. And you can use YouTube for this. YouTube is fabulous for finding any sound imaginable. There are also free apps that you can get on your phone of pretty much anything, and you can try that. But start at a really low volume, and as soon as your dog hears the sound, treat, 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 treat. Your dog doesn't have to do anything, just get treats. And then if your dog stays calm, then increase the volume by like one little notch, like one click, one push of the button. And so then it's just a little bit louder. As soon as he hears the sound, treat, 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 treat. When the sound stops, the treats stop. And then continue to get louder. If your dog starts to react, back off on that. If it's somebody coming to your door, you can teach the dog what you want them to do instead. So it's like when you hear a knock at the door, you can either do like a sit, wait, and then if they move, the door closes, and then I put them back in a sit, wait, and then I open the door, invite them in, and then you can say, okay, go say hi. But you can also treat them so they learn that, oh, okay, I like it when people come over and come in here because I get high value treats. Now I have a friend who, she does a flight cue with her dog at the door. So the flight cue is something to the dog that means I turn 180 degrees and have the best party and treats ever. So I use the word retreat. I've had clients use party time, walk away, whatever. So you start this without anybody at the door, but basically you can toss treats like behind the dog because you're getting them to turn the other way. And then you start adding distance. So what she does is when there's a knock at the door, she says, retreat. Oh, good dogs, good dogs. And she like praises them all the way to the back room. And that's where they get their high value treat. And you want to use a treat that they don't ever get any other time. So she uses like chicken hearts. I use like bacon. So in the dog's mind, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like Thanksgiving. I never get turkey and I'm going to get turkey right now. So the dogs go to a back room. They get to chew on their stuffed Kong or their chicken hearts or their boiled chicken or whatever. And that's where they stay. And then you go let people in. If it's somebody that they don't need to meet, like just somebody delivering a package or somebody repairing, just leave your dog back there. If it's company, then you can bring your dog out on a leash and teach them how to politely greet somebody. So you can have people sit down, don't give direct eye contact, toss treats. So again, the dog learns, oh, company equals treats. And the same thing I talked about earlier, toss treats. And then you can hold one out and see if the dog chooses to come and take it out of their hand. If the dog doesn't want to, don't force them. So I used to teach a go to your place, but I actually like the flight cue better because then there's no chance that the dog's going to break a stay from a mat and go like aggressively run up to a person. So while doing the flight cue, Now she doesn't even have to use the flight cue. Now, if the dogs hear a knock at the door, they're like, oh, that's our cue. We get to run to the back and have our nummy chicken hearts. So they run to the back. She takes the chicken hearts, closes the door, and then she'll bring people in, sit them down, and then brings the dog out and lets them appropriately meet people. So try that. So basically, you have to change the dog's emotional response as to how they feel about people coming in. And if your dog is like in an apartment and looking out a balcony and seeing people walk by, do the look at that. So it's like, oh, look, there's a person walking by, click treat. Look, there's a person walking by, click treat. Or you can teach them instead, okay, watch me, click treat. So, oh, there's a person, watch me, click treat. So teach them what you want them to do instead and pair it with high value treats. Okay. Let's see. How do I get my dog to not react aggressively? I need more information. So tell me what it looks like. Is it aggressive towards other dogs? Is it aggressive towards other people? In what circumstance? Is it at your home? Is it out? So the more information that you can give me on some of these, the better I can answer. The short answer is with any, and going back to the territorial barking, with any dog that has behavioral issues, whether it is territorial barking, aggression, leash reactivity, there are 3 foundations that I do with every single dog. And one is the relaxation protocol. And if you Google Karen overall relaxation protocol, it'll come up. But it basically teaches a dog how to go to a mat and be calm with increasing distraction. So first you start with like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And then you start to add in distractions like knock on the door, clap your hands, turn around. You add in distractions. And then you can start doing it in different locations. But it basically teaches a dog how to be calm. That's the first thing I do. Then I always teach, look at that. So whatever your dog is aggressing towards, whether it's another person or a dog, I start at a distance to where the dog can just look at the trigger and stay calm. So if you're this far away and your dog is acting aggressive, then you need to increase distance. So for some dogs, it's 20 feet. For some dogs, it's 20 yards. You start at that distance and teach your dog just to look and notice the person or dog. And when they look and stay calm, click treat. And I do use a clicker for this. So it's like, oh, look at the dog, click treat. Look at the dog, click treat. When the dog hears the click, they learn to, oh, I heard the clicker, where's my treat? So they learn to disengage and look at you because they know that the clicker predicts the treat. Then eventually they'll look at the trigger and be like, oh, mom, dad, there's the dog or a person, where's my treat? And then you can like say, okay, let's go the other way, or let's, come sit and look at me and I'll give you treats while somebody passes. So I always do the look at that. And then the third thing is I always do the flight cue that I just talked about. So if your dog is starting to go over threshold, then you can do like, oh, retreat, come on, let's go this way. It's so much more fun. We're going to go this way and have a party. And I'm going to give you hot dogs or bacon or whatever you do. And what that does is it teaches a dog to choose flight instead of fight. So when dogs perceive threat or danger, they go into fight, flight, or freeze. And especially if a dog's on leash, we take away their flight option. So they feel like they can't flee, so they choose fight. So I always teach this starting on leash. You can actually do it off leash too, like in the house and stuff. If you have an aggressive dog, though, I wouldn't be walking off leash anyway. But if you can tell that your dog's gonna react, then it's like, hey, retreat, and let's go this way. And then and the distance that you go is going to vary. Is however far you need to go to where your dog can then focus on you and not react to whatever the trigger is. So with any type of aggression, whether it's towards people, dogs, cats, whatever, relaxation protocol, look at that. If you type in engage, disengage, or the look at that game, and then a flight cue, and actually, if you email me, I'm going to type in, if you can't find it, if you want to just email me here at Tracy with an I at pupford.com, I am happy to send you all 3 of those handouts and you can work on that. So I would start with those 3 basics and work up from there. So, okay, thanks. I will try to make Huck wait and release Finn first and see if that helps. Okay, cool. Oh, I love those names, Huck and Finn. It's like one of my favorite books. Yeah, let me know, because I mean, you could do it, either way, but I wouldn't have both of them go down at the same time, or teach the younger one to wait while the older one goes down. Okay, my dog gets sick in the car. Can I do anything to help? Yes. It depends on why the dog's getting sick. Is it because of motion sickness, or is it because of like anxiety because there's so much stimulation going on? If it's like motion sickness, there's stuff that your vet can give you to help your dog like calm down, that can help with like car rides. So if you're going to go on a trip, or if you know you're going to take your dog on a ride, you can give them medication like an hour before. I have had one dog, and I have one dog now that absolutely hates the car. She doesn't get sick, but she lays down and just like shakes. Like and I've had her since 6 months old, and for some reason, she just hates the car. So I've started putting her in a crate, and that actually helps, because then she feels more secure and safe, and all of the stuff going by, like cars and people and everything, all the stimulation, she can't see that. So I have her like in an airline crate, and that helps a ton. So for dogs that get sick, I either recommend medication, which you'd have to see your vet for, or try a airline crate and put your dog in there. And you can put like your dog's favorite blanket or something in there to make him like, feel good. And then try that. The other thing that I would do is kind of break up the car ride. So first, you can desensitize your dog to the car. So first we're just going to get in. I'm going to turn the car on, off, let you out. And then we're going to turn it on. We're going to like back out of the garage, back in, turn it off, let you out. Then back out of the driveway, come back in. So you take the whole act of like going wherever you're going, and you break it into minute little micro training sessions. So you get used to, and you might have to do like turn the car on, off like 5 times, back out and in like 5 times, and then drive down the driveway, and then go to the stop sign, come back. So you just get them used to it little by little. But try the crate thing first if you have an airline crate. If that doesn't work, then I would talk to your vet about some medication, because it might be anxiety. How do you get your dog to stop attacking your sister's dog when her dog is just sitting there? That's a great question, and it depends on. So the first thing we always want to do is environmental management. So if you know that your dog is going to attack your sister's dog, I would separate them. So baby gates, crate and rotate. Now, is this like, are you visiting or do you live together? Because if you guys live together, I would separate the dogs by a baby gate, and then I would do crate and rotate. So one's in a crate while one's out. And one can be outside and one can be in the house, and then you rotate, and then the other dog goes outside, the other one comes in. If they're in the same room together, one's in a crate, one's out. And I would be curious, like, if the dog's just sitting there, but is the dog like doing a direct stare at the dog? Or because sometimes dogs have really subtle body language. And by the way, we are coming out with a body language course, which I'm really excited about. We're just like we're getting videos and stuff together right now. So sometimes dogs can just give dogs like a look. And if they like direct stare or do something that's challenging to the other dog, that can make the other dog react. So I would be interested to know if that's happening. If the other dog is just like laying there totally minding his own business, then the first thing I would do is condition your dog to a muzzle. I like the Baskerville Ultra because the dog can still eat, drink, pant, take treats, but can't hurt your sister's dog. So I would do that first, and then manage environment. So start separating them by baby gates, crate and rotate. And then I would start, if you can, find a trainer in your area that can help with a behavior modification. Basically starting to, start at a distance, and like if your sister's dog is just laying there, then reward your dog for being calm. So reward like a different behavior. So when you're not attacking, you're getting treats, and you're getting treats for just looking at the dog and not reacting. Or I'm going to give you treats for laying on your bed and being calm and not reacting. And so the dog gets rewarded for that. And then I would very, very slowly decrease distance. And then for a while, I would still have your dog on a muzzle. So just in case he goes after your sister's dog, your dog can't hurt him. And then manage, and then try to kind of change your dog's emotional response. Another thing you can do is what we call open bar, close bar. So when your sister's dog is laying there, your dog gets treats. And then take your sister's dog out and the treats stop. Bring your sister's dog back in, treat, treat, treat. Take your sister's dog out, treat, stop. So your dog learns, oh, well, geez, I actually kind of like it when the other dog is here because I get treats. And when the other dog's gone, then I don't get treats. And so I would keep them separate at first, and then slowly start to like set up these training scenarios. So do like 5 minutes of open bar, close bar, then do some like relaxation protocol that I just talked about with your dog, so that your dog learns how to be calm. And then have your dog just practice like looking at your sister's dog without reacting. Some other things I would want to know is like how old is your dog? Is your dog spayed or neutered? And you might want to like take your dog to the vet and make sure everything checks out medically. Depending on the age of your dog, get blood work, see if there's anything going on, because sometimes we always want to rule out medical issues, and then manage. So like I said, baby gates, crate and rotate, things like that. Or another thing you can do is keep your dog tethered to you, and so that your dog can't practice that behavior. Because every time your dog does that, he or she, I'm not sure, she's getting reinforced somehow. So we want to reinforce her for a different behavior. So when your dog is calm around your sister's dog, reward. Make sure that you're at a distance though, and if food is involved and your dog resource guards with the other dog, you want to make sure that you manage that as well, so that if you're giving your dog treats, that your dog doesn't think, oh, I don't want this dog to take my treats, so I'm going to go attack. So kind of keep that in mind too. Hello, it just says Facebook user. So whoever said hi, Tracy, I don't know who's saying hi, but I'm just going to say hi back. Okay, other dogs on a walk. Okay, now I have to go back and, oh, is this the aggressive? This is probably the aggressive thing. Okay. So leash reactivity is really common because we take away their flight option. And I would do the same things that I just told you. So when I teach reactive dog classes, I send them home with the relaxation protocol. We set up scenarios where the dog, we do open bar, close bar with that too in class. We practice a lot of look at that, and we practice a flight cue. We also practice something called come front. So if your dog sees another dog, you say, you can call it front or come front or whatever you want to call it. But I usually say come front, and I take like 2 steps back and I lure my dog in towards me, have them sit and look at me. And then I treat until the other dog walks by. So I basically teach the dog a different, instead of lunging, barking, growling at another dog. Let's see, I think I have my little fake dog here. Jade's asleep, so I'm not going to wake her up. Okay, so you're walking your dog, and if your dog starts to react, then I say, come front, and I just we'll put a treat in front of the dog, lure them back, have them sit, look at me, and I continuously treat until the other dog passes. And then from a distance, you can start doing the look at that. So I actually walk a client's dog who's very, very aggressive towards other dogs. And so we go to a dog park, but we stand right at the corner that, hey, we stand right at the corner where the dog can just watch the other dogs play. There you go. And every time this dog looks at the dogs, I click and treat. If I see a dog starting to run towards us, I say, oh, let's go. And it's not like, oh, crap, let's go, there's a dog, because your dog will pick up on that energy. So I just say, oh, let's go, and we turn and go the other way, and we just get out of there. But then if the dog can stay calm and just look, then we might go a little bit closer. I don't ever put the dog in a situation where, if I see a dog starting to run our way, I turn and go the other way. And it's a dog park, so the owner's there, and the owner can usually tell if that person's walking away with their dog, that's probably not a friendly dog. So you can find places to practice. And so, sorry, I'm just making sure Jade's not chewing something she's not supposed to. So yeah, I would do relaxation protocol, look at that, flight cue. So if you think your dog's about ready to react towards another dog, then you're going to do your retreat, and we're going to go this way. We're going to have a great party, and I'm going to give you your high value treats that you never ever get any other time. So it's like your dog's own Thanksgiving dinner. And I mean, depending on how aggressive your dog is, you might want to find a trainer or behavior consultant in your area. You can look on CCPDT or IAABC and put in your zip code, and certified trainers in your area will pop up. If there aren't any, I can do one-on-one Zoom consults with you through Pupford. You just have to email me at Tracy with an I at pupford.com, and we can do something virtually. And I have videos that I can like show you how to do it. But yeah, you'll kind of want to go through those. I start with the relaxation protocol just to teach your dog how to relax. And then we teach the other behavior, which is just notice the dog, and then look at me, notice the dog, hear the click, treat, look at me. And then I also teach the flight cue. So it's kind of like a get out of Dodge, like, okay, we're going this way type thing. Is it possible to get a 4-month-old puppy to not pee in her crate? I do leave puppy pads in the crate, and every time I leave blankets or beds in the crate, she pees on that as well. So it could be that the blanket, so at 4 months old, I would put the dog in there in a bed without pee pads, because having the pee pad in there and like a blanket, the blanket could feel a lot like how the pee pad feels. And so your dog doesn't know the difference. So if you have pee pads in the crate and a blanket to the dog, sometimes those feel similar. So that's why they pee on them. That's why some dogs will come inside and pee on like carpet, because carpet feels most like grass. So it feels similar. Hang on, I got to take something away from Jade. Jade, you can't chew on your leash. Here, you have that. Look, you have 2 bones over there. Go eat your bones. Sorry. I did not have time to walk Jade today, so that's why she's being very antsy. You have 2 bones over there. Eat your bone. So I would like maybe start over with crate training and take out the pee pads, because your dog should be able to hold it a little bit. But with the pee pad in the crate, we're actually just teaching the dog to pee in the crate. Here, let's do your soul feed. So then if you put a blanket or whatever you put in there, the dog still thinks it's okay to pee in the crate, because that's where the pee pads are. So I would start teaching the dog to hold it by not having pee pads in there, and then just teach your dog to pee outside. Let's see. And also at 4 months, it depends on how long you're leaving. Like a 4-month-old can't hold it for 8 hours. So I would have somebody come over halfway through the day, or like in 5 hours, and take your dog out, go for a short walk, go potty, maybe play for a little bit, and then put her back in her crate. But yeah, if for a 4-month-old, if you're leaving her there for like 8 hours, that's too long. And so I would try to break it up and see if somebody can come and let her out. But yeah, I would take away the pee pads, because that's just going to teach her to pee in her crate. Okay, just my sister's dog at my house. So it could be that he's like resource guarding his house. So if it's just happening with your sister's dog at your house and they don't live there with you, then it could be that your dog is resource guarding. So I would still muzzle train your dog, and try to keep them separate. So the same client that I was just talking about that I work with her dog, they just went to her sister's house for Thanksgiving, and they just didn't let the dogs interact. Like they kept the dogs separate, or they kept them on leashes so that the dogs couldn't interact. So you could do that. But then to get them used to each other, like you could do things like go for parallel walks. So that's always how we introduce introduce dogs neutral territory. So we're going on parallel walks. Let them kind of sniff each other through the air, maybe do a few butt sniffs if they seem calm. You can also do like nose work games outside, on leash and far enough apart. So like I like to do the go hunt game. So I'll take a handful of treats, throw them out in the lawn, go hunt. But both dogs are on leash and they're far enough apart away that they're not going to fight over the food. But in the dog's mind, it's like, oh, like this is a fun activity that I do when this other dog's here. So that they start doing fun things together, like going for walks, doing nose work, things like that. And then in the house, if you think your dog is like guarding the house, resource guarding the house, then I would either crate your dog or just tether your dog to you so that he doesn't have that opportunity to go after your sister's dog. And when you say he's nice to other dogs, is that other dogs in your house or just other dogs out? I mean, if your sister's dog is older, sometimes dogs will pick on dogs and not able to defend themselves. So then I would definitely keep your dog away because that's not fair to the older dog. And again, I would watch and see like if the other dog is, direct staring, giving weird body language that's provoking your dog, but it's so subtle that you don't see it. Okay. So at 7:30, I'm going to do the drawing. So if you have not given me your name and where you're from, please do so I can enter you. I'll do a drawing at 7:30 and then I will stick around for another half hour and answer questions. But that way, if it's late for you, wherever you're at, if you want to go, you can go. So we'll do the drawing in 15 minutes. I'm going to grab just something for my throat. Okay, so Olive is now going on 10 months, 2.5 feet tall, 85 pounds, and now is in her teenager mentality. Oh, lucky you. Gotta love the adolescent stage. She's now starting to react to every dog that goes by when we walk. She doesn't bark or growl, but wants to run and jump, to play, sniff, etc. She doesn't want all treats or all commands are out the window. Okay, so what I would do is, usually with these dogs, I teach a sit and a wait. So if it's just that your dog wants to go say hi and play and sniff, I will do a sit and a wait. And if your dog learns to sit and wait, then the other dog can come up and your dog can say hi. But your dog is not allowed to pull you over to another dog. If your dog doesn't sit and wait, then you say, okay, let's go. And I would practice more of like, watch me, and like focus. And I would start it at home inside and then maybe out in the backyard, then front yard, then on walks, because if you're adding distractions like other dogs coming and training goes out the window, that's totally normal. So you might want to use higher value treats and something that smells. So like when I'm working with dogs like that, I will use the Pupford, the salmon treats, because they smell more, and I can get the dog's attention. So I've actually been working with a dog that does this exact same thing, and he is 110 pounds, and he's so strong. So the first thing I did was I put him on a freedom harness so that if he starts to pull, I grab the front part of the leash and turn him towards me so that he can't pull me. And then I've taught him to watch me. So he also responds really well to the clicker. So if he hears the click, he knows that means treat. Now I don't use the clicker to get his attention, but if I say like leave it or watch me, as soon as he does, and sometimes I have to put the treat like right in front of his nose and then lure him to me, and as soon as he looks at me, I click treat. And we've been working for like several months now, and now we can actually walk by other people's houses where, so this area, they're not allowed to have fences, so everybody has an invisible fence, which I'm not a real fan of invisible fences, but there's a lot of places where I live where people are not allowed to put fences up. So as we're walking, this 110-pound dog, these other dogs come running up, barking at us. And I'm like, oh, please let there be an invisible fence because I don't want a dog fight. And there usually is. The dog knows when to stop, but they're barking at us. And this dog has now learned, like when we first started, he would pull and want to go say hi. And he's friendly. Like he would want to pull and go say hi. And I did teach him a come front. So it's like sometimes we step off the trail, come front. I'll treat you while you let somebody else go by. If you stay calm and don't pull me, I'll let you say hi. But if you pull me, we're going to go the other way and you don't get to say hi. So it's all about impulse control. So teaching like a sit and a wait. And then you can ask the other person, like, is your dog friendly? Can our dog say hi? And if they say yes, if your dog starts to like pull you, then it's like go the other way or pull your dog in towards you, which is why I love the front clip harness. And so you teach your dog how to calmly say hi to another dog. At the same time, really work on that watch me. And if you can, use a clicker, because now, like this dog could be looking at whatever. And if I say like, watch me, and he hears the click, then I treat. The other thing I do too is when he's walking nice and not pulling, and I practice this a lot without distractions. So when he's just healing, doing a great job, just walking normal, I'll click and he'll automatically look at me like, oh, I heard the clicker. Where's my treat? So I'm marking him doing what I want, which is like, you're walking nice. You're not pulling. You're not distracted. I'm going to click and treat you for that. So when he hears the clicker, like he looks at me. So then, if I say leave it or come front or something, and then as soon as he does it, he hears the click and treat. But we've been practicing this for months now. So, I would practice those basic things without distractions and then start to add in distractions. But also remember that when you start to add in distractions, that's raising the criteria. So then you have to make another criteria easier. So like I use higher value treats in that situation, because like treats that I would use in my living room may not hold my dog's attention outside with other dogs or whatever while we're walking. So then I might even sometimes take cheese or hot dogs or something like that. So try those things. If your dog's pulling a lot, I would really try the Freedom Harness, because it makes all the difference in the world. Sometimes I'll have the leash, and if the dog is pulling, I'll reach around and grab the front part of the leash that's clipped in front, and I'll just pull the dog around towards me so that he doesn't get reinforced for pulling. So, okay, Emily, let's see. So going back to the look at that with people outside, I've tried that with my dog, but she looks at them and barks, then looks at me and barks. Then, okay, so what I would do there is if she's looking at them and barking, then you're too close. So I would increase distance. So if your dog looks at a dog and barks, it's like, okay, let's go this way, and increase distance. So you want to start at a distance to where your dog can look at another dog and not bark. And that's the distance you start. So when your dog can just, and for some dogs, I mean, I'm not kidding, it's like a mile or, like 100 yards. So then your dog looks and stays calm, you click and treat. And if your dog focuses in on you, you can click and treat. But if your dog's barking, then that means they're going over threshold, or she's already over threshold. So that means you're too close to the trigger. So I would start at a greater distance. So whatever that distance is that your dog can just look and not react, that's where you start. And then start look at the dog, click treat. Look at the dog, click treat. And I do it like 5 or 10 times, and then I might take one step closer. Look at the dog. If your dog barks, then, okay, we're going to go back. So I think that's the only thing that you need to change is increase distance. So, because if your dog is barking at them and then you and them, then that just means your dog's too close. So move back. And then, yes, thank you, Emily. Replying to Julie, she might have a UTI. Has she? Yeah, you could always take your dog in and make sure there's not a UTI. But if you're leaving a 4-month-old in for like 8 hours, that's too long for a 4-month-old to hold it. So, but yes, that is correct. You could, your dog could have a UTI as well. Olive listens so good off leash, but now all is forgotten. Teenagers. Oh, trust me, I feel your pain. Jade here is, she's between the teenage and just reaching social maturity age, and we're working on service dog training for her. And she is so spot on at home and so spot on in the backyard. And then the front yard is a little more like, I don't know, there's a lot to go do here. And I live in like farming community, so they like to go look for cow poop and horse poop and sheep poop and everything else. And then when we practice in grocery stores or anything, it's like, oh my gosh, I have a whole bottom row of stuff to sniff. And so then it's harder to keep her attention. So yes, I totally get it. And with teenagers, you just have to be really on it as far as that structure, predictability, really keep on the training and just let them know, like, if you do this, I will give you this. If you don't do this, you're not going to get this. So like if you pull on leash, we're going to stop and we're not going to go anywhere, or I'm going to turn and go the other way. If your dog likes to go sniff stuff, you can be like, okay, we're going to walk 20 steps. And I do this with the dog that I walk. It's like, okay, we're going to heel 20 steps. And, if the dog pulls before 20 steps, I stop, or I turn and go the other way, or I pull him in towards me. If he goes 20 steps, then I'm like, oh, good boy. Okay, go sniff. And then I release him to go sniff. And that's like a reward for him, that he gets to go sniff for walking nice on leash. So it doesn't always have to be a treat reward. It can be you get to go sniff whatever you want reward. So you can, try that too. But yes, it is totally normal for dogs when they get into their teenage years to try and see what they can get away with and to try to like push the boundaries. So that's just when you just keep up on the training, be consistent, and usually dogs reach social maturity around 2 to 3 years of age, which may or may not be good news, but then once they reach social maturity, then they kind of calm down a little bit. So she's fine when I'm home. She's starting to tell us when she needs to go out. Yeah, so if you took out her blankets in bed, so if you leave her in the crate with a blanket in bed without potty pads, will she go on the blanket in bed? If not, I would take them out. And again, I would say, now when you say she's fine when I'm home, then either she's being left in the crate too long and she can't hold it that long, or she could be developing a little bit of like separation distress. In which case, depending on the age, you might have to do like anti-anxiety medicine. Like I said before, I don't know. Yeah, you were here from the beginning. If you think are you seeing other things like panting, whining, scratching at the door? Because some dogs with separation anxiety, like they will pee and poop in their crate because they're like having a panic attack. So it could be, it would be interesting to put a camera up and see what your dog is doing when you're gone in the crate. The dog that I just had, I started crating her with one of my other dogs because that calmed her down. If I put her in myself or by herself and left for an hour, I have all these blankets piled up on the crate, and she would actually pull the blankets through the bars. And but when she was with another dog, she didn't do that. Like everything was fine. So it would almost be interesting to put a camera up and see what's going on. Is it just because she can't hold it? Is she having some anxiety when you leave? Are there other signs of anxiety other than just peeing in the crate? Because it could be, it could be like a UTI. It could be anxiety, separation anxiety, things like that. You could also, again, see if somebody could come and let her out midday, and see if that helps. If she has like a midday break, let's go walk around. Let's go for a walk. Let's go potty. And then I'm going to put you back in your crate with a toy or whatever, and then leave. But I would be interested to see what else is going on with your dog when you're gone. So let's see. Anxiety versus nausea is a 20-minute ride. Yeah, it could be either. I would honestly ask your vet, but if it's just 20 minutes, you could try the kind of desensitizing your dog. Again, where you just turn on and off the car, back out, back in. It shouldn't take forever to get your dog used to a 20-minute ride. But before you go through all that, try the crate first. Like try putting your dog in an air crate where they can't see what's going on and see if that solves it. And if it does, then that's an easy fix and relatively cheap. If that doesn't fix it, then I would maybe talk to your vet about meds, and then I would kind of start the breaking it into little micro sections and getting your dog used to each one. Okay. It is 7:30, so I'm going to do a drawing. And then if we have more questions, I'll stay on till 8. And I'll answer questions for like another half hour. So I gotta like mix all these up and draw one. So today's winner is Julie Weinstein Kaplan from New York. So congratulations, Julie. I will email Pupford and let him know you're the winner. And you can email at hello@pupford.com and let them know what kind of training treats you want. So they have chicken, salmon, beef, beef liver, potato. Oh, and they just came out with rabbit. So just email them and let them know what kind of treats you want, and I will email them as well. Um, okay. My 11-month-old Aussie Doodle likes to push my kids around with her butt and sit on them, and will also try to herd them. And that's probably the Aussie part of the Aussie Doodle. Um, so those kind of dogs really need a job, um, and more than just exercise. So I would maybe get involved in like agility work. There's things like tri-ball where dogs learn to herd balls into like a soccer net type thing. Um, getting into rally sports. Like there's a lot of different things that like give a dog a job. The other thing that I would start doing is more like nose work enrichment. So like snuffle mat, um, where the dog has to actually engage her brain and her nose and work for her food, forage for her food. That's going to give her something to do. And then when you see her hurting the kids, pushing them, sitting on them, I would like, hey, and redirect the dog to what you want the dog to do instead. It's going to be kind of hard because that is a genetic thing. I mean, that's what they were bred to do. So you want to give her something else to do instead. So it might be, oh, let's play flirt pole. And you can chase this toy and hurt this toy all day long, or not all day, and then I'm going to let you grab it and we're going to play tug. And it's amazing. Like when I do flirt pole with clients' dogs, how fast it tires them out. But yes, I definitely would not let the dog push the kids down and sit on them. And then herding is just going to be natural. So again, the dog needs a job and something to do. And there's a lot of, like, I think there's a Facebook group about enrichment. And there's one on everything. There's probably one on like easy agility things that you can do, puzzle toys or treat dispensing toys, like I have the Kong wobbler where you fill it with treats and then the dog has to like knock it over and figure out how to get the treats. So with your dog, I would actually feed your dog in a snuffle mat or a Kong wobbler so that your dog has to learn to work for food. Like you don't just get a bowl of food. Here's a snuffle mat, you sniff for your food. Here's a wobbler, you learn how to get your food out. Because those dogs really need a job. And then teach your dog what you want to do instead. So the dog that I just board and trained happened to be an Aussie Doodle. And she didn't try to herd like the other dogs or anything, but when she started to kind of like, when I thought she was going to go after the cat, or when she was giving the cat too much attention, I would say, hey, over here, let's lay down. And she actually would come over here and lay down by my feet. So I could redirect her and ask her to do something else. But we were doing exercise, nose work, like we were doing a lot of other things during the day. So she was getting enough enrichment and things so that when I did say, okay, now it's time to settle down by my feet, she would do it. Okay, let's see. I don't know why I always have a hard time scrolling with this thing. Oh, there we go. Oh, you did try to desensitize with short rides and high value treats. Didn't help. Yeah. If she's getting sick to where she's like throwing up, I wouldn't use treats. Well, you can you can like turn the car on and off and then let her out and treat her. But I wouldn't do treats like while she's riding in the car, because if if it is like anxiousness or whatever, like if she's eating treats, she's going to throw up. But yeah, try the crate and just see. The crate that I use in my car has a bed in it. I think it has like a Kong or something, so not stuffed because I don't want them to get sick, but just something to do. And then I usually turn music on that is like soothing for the dog, just when Daphne goes, because she's the only one that's afraid to ride in the car. So yeah, try the crate. If you've already tried the desensitization, I would try the crate. If that doesn't work, then I would talk to your vet about meds. Is there anything I can do so that my 5-month-old female dog will not piddle when a visitor comes into our house? Yeah, so that's usually like excitement pee. And usually what we do is if you have visitors come in, one thing that I like to do is have a dog like sit and wait, either like go to your place and lay down until I say, okay, you can come say hi. But even then, if the dog is so excited that they pee, then you and the visitors want to just like walk away so that behavior doesn't get reinforced. So it's like, oh, if you're going to pee, we're out, like we're gone. So you just walk away and don't give the dog any attention. You can teach the dog to sit for greetings, and when the dog's sitting, then the visitors can like pet and say hi. But I would tell people, like, don't get too amped up, like, oh, hi, you're so cute, because then the dog gets all excited and then they're going to excitement pee. So the calmer you can be and the calmer the visitors can be, it's like, oh, hi, like, thanks for sitting, good sit. And even give it a couple of treats. And then if the dog starts to pee, turn, walk away. So you're basically taking your attention away and giving no attention if your dog starts to do that. And so then you can teach your dog how to like calmly meet people, but they need to be calm, and then you can reward the dog for calm behavior. Let's see. How to get them to stop jumping on you and others. Okay, so this is what I do with Jade, because Jade likes to jump on people. The reason she likes to jump is she's this cute little pit bull Boston Terrier mix, and everybody thinks she's adorable, so they let her jump. And she must have just heard her name. So when she jumps, people are like, oh, it's fine, she's so cute. And I'm like, yeah, but I mind and I don't want her to jump, so please don't let her jump. So then they'll see her and she'll jump, and they'll say, oh, Jade, get down, your mom's going to get mad. And I'm like, okay, you just talked to her, touched her, gave her attention. So you just inadvertently reinforced the jumping. So I tell people that come in the house, I'm like, if Jade jumps on you, turn your back. Just ignore her, turn your back. But then I will say, Jade, sit. And I will have her sit. And when she sits, then I'll say, okay, now you can say hi to her. And then if she starts jumping again, I tell them, turn your back. So it's important that it's called negative punishment, which means the dog's jumping for attention. So we're going to take our attention away because we don't want to reinforce the jumping. So I instruct people, ignore her, turn your back, don't talk to her, don't touch her, don't pet her unless she's sitting. If she's sitting, then you can come up and say hi and pet her and give her attention. If she tries to jump again, turn your back and ignore her. But then I also and say, okay, Jade, sit. And then when you sit, then people will say hi to you and pet you and give you treats. So yeah, first thing is make sure that the jumping isn't getting reinforced. Because remember, sometimes even like you could be inadvertently being rewarding it by saying like, off, get down. And I do teach an off. But if you're saying, oh, get down, then you're like giving the dog a lot of attention. So they're just going to keep jumping. So I ignore the jumping, ignore the dog, and I only give them attention when they have 4 feet on the floor and I teach a sit. Because if the dog's sitting, he's not jumping. So I teach them that behavior instead. My dog won't stay out of the kitchen or around the table. So depending on how your house is set up, baby gates are great for that. I have a baby gate that separates my dining room from my kitchen. If I have company, which is not very often, if we're around the table, the dogs might go in a crate while I'm working on a downstay. So this is where I teach, like, go to your place and then do a downstay, and then we start increasing duration. And so it's like when I'm in the table, when we're at the table, you're doing a downstay, chewing on an antler or chewing your nylabone or whatever, and you're over here. If you want your dog to stay out of the kitchen, think of a line, like this is how far I want my dog to go, and do a sit stay, and then start to increase distance. So it's like first you're going to go like 1 step back, come back, reward. 2 steps back. We actually did this with a dog last week, and we got to where, like, then I would turn around, mess with stuff on the counter, come back and reward. If the dog broke the stay, then I'd say, oh, let's try again, and then take the dog back, do another sit, stay, walk back. I just like kind of messed with dishes, did different things, and the dog stayed, I would go back and treat. So you can either have like what do they call it? Threshold. So think of where you want your threshold to be and teach your dog a sit stay or a down stay. And then you've got to slowly increase distance and duration. If you increase distance, don't also increase duration, only increase one at a time. And you can do the same thing with the table. It's like, okay, I want you to go lay on your bed and you're going to do a down stay. And if you're eating dinner and stuff, like, I like to give the dog something to do so they're not so focused on like heck with that, I'm going to break it and come over and see what you guys are doing. I give them a stuffed Kong, a yak chew, a bully stick, something to do so that they don't mind being on their bed, doing what they do while we're at the table. So think about always environmental management first. So baby gates are great, crates are great, and think about what you want the dog to do instead. So instead of coming in the kitchen, I want you to only go this far, and that's it. You sit right here. I had a German Shepherd once who would go right to the line. There wasn't a line, it was an imaginary line. He would sit, stay, and he would not cross that line. I actually didn't teach him that. He came already knowing that. So I thought it was awesome. So I kept it. So I just teach a sit stay like right there. And then if I'm doing dishes and stuff, like I'll intermittently come back and reward the dog. Good, stay, and then stay. And so they intermittently like get rewarded for staying there. And then I will reward and then go back to doing what I'm doing. And then we start to increase duration. Okay, my dog had an accident in the home. How do I discipline her? She does not seem to understand the concept that she's in trouble when it comes to anything. Okay, so that's a great question. So it takes a while for dogs to develop a substrate preference, which means that they learn, I'm supposed to go potty outside. I'm supposed to go on the grass. I'm supposed to go in the dirt. I'm like wherever. If your dog has an accident in the house and you don't catch them, there's nothing you can do because dogs live in the moment. So if you come back after the fact and you're like, oh, you just had an accident. Oh, you're in trouble. Really what's going to happen is the dog's going to be like, what am I in trouble for? Your dog is not going to associate it with having an accident. And really what can happen is the dog can then become afraid of you. Because like, then you're like disciplining and the dog doesn't know why. she's being disciplined. So if it's after the fact, there's nothing you can do. So just this morning, one of my dogs had an accident, and I think that it was my older one, and she's starting to have a harder time moving around. And I think she just didn't want to walk all the way downstairs to go out the dog door and go outside. I didn't know for sure which dog. I have 3, and I didn't catch her doing it, so I just cleaned it up. There's nothing I could do. I just cleaned it up. Now, if I had like woken up and caught her doing it, then I would say, hey, and I would just clap my hands and say, come on, let's go outside. So if you catch your dog doing it, then you interrupt, and I usually clap my hands. I don't yell, but I do use a hey, because then it makes the dog stop. Like, it's kind of a startle response. So they stop, and then you can say, come on, let's go outside. And then you can get your dog outside and say, go potty. Then as soon as your dog like squats or goes potty outside, you want to praise. You're actually like praising them for going outside. Actually going potty and relieving themselves is the reward, but you can give a secondary reward such as a treat, so that they get like, it's like, oh, I got to relieve myself and I got a treat. Basically, they don't know what they're being disciplined for, and they might just become more afraid of you. If you try to discipline while they're going inside, then your dog will just start having accidents out of your view. So first thing is I would make sure you're taking your dog out enough. So like first thing in the morning, 30 minutes after eating, after a nap, after a play session, because the more active they are, the more they have to go. And then there was one more. After training session, after play session. And then depending on your dog's age, every like 45 minutes to an hour until they're not having accidents. So usually when dogs start to have accidents, either they're not as potty trained as we thought, or we're not taking them out frequent enough, or they haven't developed a substrate preference yet. So I think this is your spot after down here. I should preface by saying she's totally potty trained and potty bell trained. After she got spayed recently, she kind of forgot. Yeah, so I would, sometimes we do see that with dogs that get spayed, and then you just kind of back up on your training. So back up as if the dog isn't potty trained and start to like take them out more often. If you can't supervise, then crate the dog. If you can supervise, then the dog can be out. And then if you catch your dog starting to go, interrupt, take outside. And like you can do the whole bell routine and stuff. So because something changed and the dog got spayed, you might have to step back a little bit and do some more potty training to get it back, but it will come back. So Julie, I'm only gone 6 hours. So yeah, I mean, they say 1 hour for every month plus 1. So, your dog should be able to hold up 5 hours if she's 4 months old. It still might be worth making sure there's no UTI going on or separation anxiety. And again, maybe do a camera and see if it is like a separation anxiety type thing. Okay. Emily, my other question is, my dog stares, hyper focuses on other dogs. Yes, two dogs, this can be seen as wanting to fight. No, that is correct. She just gets so excited and maybe nervous and stares. She also does this with people. I have a thing up here so I can't see the bottom. Is this because she needs more socialization? Yeah, I mean, I would break the stare. So if you see your dog staring, I always, say, hey, watch me. And then they get rewarded for watching me instead. And then you can maybe walk a little bit closer if your dog starts to stare, hey, watch me. And then reward for that. And then teach some impulse control. So like, don't pull me towards another dog. Focus on me, and then you can go say hi. But when a dog stares or hyper focuses, so the dog that I was talking about earlier does that, and he will get super hyper focused on a dog, but I've taught him, hey, watch me, and now he knows if he watches me, he gets a treat. And we've also learned a really good leave it. So if he starts to really focus on a dog and starts to move towards the dog, I'll say, leave it. And he knows, okay, I leave it, I get a treat. So when I'm walking, training, I always have treats with me and a clicker, just because every walk is a training walk. And I want to be able to reward the dog every time they do something good. So I always make sure that I have treats and a clicker with me. So yeah, I would work more on instead of focusing on the other dog, watch me. And even if you have to, where'd my little fake dog go? Even if you have to put it right in front of their nose and get their attention to you, do that and reinforce it every time. So yeah, and depending on the other dog could take that as, oh, that dog's challenging me. And other dogs might be like, oh, I want to go play. So a lot of it, it does depend on the other dog. But yes, that can be a message. So I'm going to have to lie a little bit. I got to cut it 6 minutes short because Jade is telling me that she needs to go out and go potty. And I don't want her to do it in my office. So thank you for joining me tonight. Congratulations, Julie. You're our winner tonight for the free salmon, or not salmon, whatever flavor you choose, pup for treats. So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and it's December, so it's holiday season. I'll be back next Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m. I usually will try to do the drawing around 7:30. So if you want to be entered into the drawing, try to jump on early enough that I can enter your name in the drawing. And then I will stay on until 8 or as close to 8 as I can get before Jade needs to go out and go potty, and answer more questions. So I also try to get in the 30-day Facebook and answer questions 6 days a week. So every day but Sunday, I try and get on and answer questions for about a half hour. So if I didn't answer your question, you can try posting it in there, and I'll try to answer those as well. So thanks everybody for coming, and you guys had great questions tonight, and I will see you next week. Have a great week.